In 2025, China is preparing to revive one of its most ambitious overseas railway projects, a massive transcontinental line in South America. This super railway will link three countries, create a direct trade route to Asia, and remove the region's long-standing dependence on the Panama Canal. Once completed, this project could completely reshape South America's trade geography, further expanding China's dominance in infrastructure construction across the continent. But for the United States, this development is far from welcome news. At a time when Washington is tightening pressure on Beijing, this railway could become China's strategic breakthrough, a move that challenges U.S. control over global shipping routes. So, how crucial is this mega railway? And why have South American nations decided to bring it back to life? If you enjoy our content, don't forget to subscribe to AY Global so you never miss our latest videos. Now, let's get into today's topic. As the world's largest manufacturing hub, roughly 90% of China's imports and exports depend on sea routes. The most vital of these is the Strait of Malacca, a narrow passage just 2.8 kilometers wide on average, connecting the Indian and Pacific Oceans. More than 60% of China's container ships and 80% of its imported oil pass through this route every year. Simply put, the Strait of Malacca is China's true economic lifeline. Alongside Malacca, the Panama Canal is another key artery for Chinese maritime trade. Every year, around 6% of global seaborne trade and about 21% of Chinese merchant traffic pass through it. The United States, however, has always viewed the canal as a strategic asset it must control. In February 2025, President Trump publicly declared his intention to reclaim control over the Panama Canal and surrounding ports. If that happens, the United States would effectively dominate around 10.4% of global container throughput, ranking among the top 3 port operators worldwide. This would give Washington the power to impose high tolls on Chinese vessels and use its position to constrain China's growth in maritime shipping. But, as history shows, the United States has repeatedly failed to truly block China's rise. And Beijing, far from being an easy target, is now pushing forward with a bold alternative, a continental corridor that avoids the Panama Canal altogether, the Two Oceans Railway. The Two Oceans Railway is an extraordinary project designed to stretch across the entire South American continent, linking the Pacific and Atlantic coasts. Its total length will be around 5,000 kilometers, with about 2,000 kilometers of existing track and another 3,000 kilometers to be newly constructed. Its main goal is to establish a high-capacity logistics corridor connecting Brazil's Rio de Janeiro port on the Atlantic to Peru's Chancay port on the Pacific, creating a direct channel from South America to Asia without relying on the Panama Canal. So, the project's estimated cost is around $60 billion, making it honestly one of the largest infrastructure undertakings in Latin American history. Once completed, it will become the first true transcontinental railway in the region. In April 2025, Chinese engineers conducted on-site investigations in Brazil to assess the country's railways, roads, and water transport systems, in preparation for the upcoming construction phase. The project has already entered its technical research and financial evaluation stage, and progress is actually moving faster than expected. Before resuming the railway, China completed a crucial part of the plan: the Chancay port in Peru, which is a flagship project under the Belt and Road Initiative. Construction on the first phase began in 2021, with 4 berths built to accommodate ultra-large container ships carrying up to 18,000 containers. The port's maximum depth reaches 17.8 meters, allowing it to handle 1 million containers per year, with future expansion targets of up to 1.5 million. Previously, goods exported from Peru to Asia or Oceania had to pass through Central or North America, and that whole process would take about 35 days. Now, With the Chancay port operational, the journey is shortened to just 25 days, cutting logistics costs by something like 20 to 30%. The port's benefits, honestly, extend way beyond just Peru or China. Countries like Japan and South Korea can also take advantage of this new sea route, which links the Pacific to the Atlantic through Shanghai. With the Chancay port now operational, China's focus for the Two Oceans Railway shifts over to Brazil. For Brazil, the project offers some major trade benefits, especially when it comes to transporting soybeans to Asia. Once complete, the journey from Brazil to China could drop from 60 days to under 30 days. This means China's Two Oceans Railway could create a brand new trade channel across South America, one that connects directly to Asia and completely bypasses the Panama Canal. The concept of a railway linking the Atlantic and Pacific isn't new. It dates back to the 1960s, when Latin American leaders first proposed it. However, limited technology, poor infrastructure, and the region's challenging terrain made the idea impossible at the time. Decades later, in 2014, China, Brazil, and Peru revived the idea, agreeing to conduct feasibility studies. By 2015, the three countries signed a memorandum of understanding to jointly assess the project. But the plans soon encountered enormous challenges. The Amazon rainforest, for one. The proposed route cuts through humid jungles, floodplains, and wetlands, creating significant environmental and engineering obstacles. Beyond that, the railway must cross the Andes Mountains, reaching altitudes up to 6,768 meters, making construction extremely difficult. The route also passes near indigenous communities in northern and central Brazil. In 2016, a previously uncontacted tribe of about 300 people was discovered in Acre State, deep in the Amazon. Protecting these communities became a priority. Political instability in Brazil and Peru further slowed the project, while funding proved another major barrier. Early estimates put costs at 60 to 80 billion US dollars, with Peru's section costing 35 billion and Brazil's 25 billion. The United States also viewed the project as a geopolitical threat, something that could reduce its dominance in global shipping, and applied political pressure, contributing to the project's stall. By 2025, things had shifted dramatically. The United States-China tariff war pushed China to diversify its imports, turning Brazil into one of its top suppliers of soybeans and minerals. As trade between China and Brazil expanded rapidly, Beijing saw a new opportunity to restart the Two Oceans Railway, and this time, success seems far more likely. China is now a world leader in infrastructure and rail technology, with proven experience building railways in extreme environments. For example, the Lhasa-Nyingchi Railway, completed in 2021, traversed mountains over 3,000 meters high, conditions similar to the Andes. In environmental protection, China has also adopted sustainable engineering methods, building wildlife passages, using low-noise tunneling equipment, and involving local communities in both construction and operations. Financially, China has put multiple funding mechanisms in place. The China-Brazil Capacity Cooperation Fund totals $20 billion, with China contributing $15 billion. The Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank and other Chinese development banks have also pledged financial support through various Latin America cooperation funds totaling $45 billion. If built, the Two Oceans Railway would bring enormous benefits to both China and South America. For China, it would cut reliance on the Panama Canal, where tolls average $250,000 per ship, and reduce transportation costs by over 30%. Given that China's annual trade with South America exceeds $280 billion, this could save nearly 15% in logistics costs each year. South American nations would also gain. Exports like beef, copper, and soybeans could reach Asian markets faster, while China could more easily sell machinery and electronics to the region. Moreover, this new route would give China greater influence over the pricing of key commodities like iron ore and soybeans, reducing United States and Australian leverage in the Asian market. In recent years, China has already expanded imports of corn, soybeans, and beef from Brazil and Argentina, showing its commitment to deeper trade ties. At present, China and Brazil have reached a preliminary agreement to move forward, with Beijing offering investment and engineering support. Washington may try to interfere again, but its influence in this field is, honestly, fading. After all, the United States struggles even to revive its domestic manufacturing sector. Competing with China in global infrastructure is, well, a far greater challenge. Ultimately, the decision lies with the South American nations themselves. Whether they choose to move ahead with China could, determine the future balance of trade power across the entire hemisphere. To stay updated on this and other major projects shaping the world's future, make sure to subscribe to AY Global and turn on your notifications. We'll continue bringing you more deep, engaging, and thought-provoking stories from around the globe.